Good afternoon. We're into week 3 of the 2019 federal election cycle. In the aftermath of Justin Trudeau's photo scandal, almost all pollsters showed a significant decline in Liberal Party support. I'm showing the Liberals ahead of the Conservatives by about 2% in the popular vote. At this time last week, the Liberals were sitting at around 34.5%, while this week they're sitting at 33%. The 1.5% loss in Liberal Party support seems to have gone to the NDP and Green Party, which each gained over the past week. This is going to be something to watch, since it could result in vote splitting, and this ultimately provides an advantage for the Conservatives. In the last day or so, the decline in Liberal Party support appears to be stagnating, so it's possible that we've seen the extent of the scandal. Polling through the rest of this week should start to paint a clearer picture of the public support for the Liberal Party. Even though we've seen the Liberal Party suffer in terms of popularity, they're still the favourites at this point in the game. They're projected to take 160 seats to 134 for the Conservatives. The NDP have increased their projected seat total by 4 seats week over week, and this is mostly attributable to the Trudeau photo scandal. That sums things up at the federal level, so let's take a deeper dive into the provincial data. Ontario remains one of the bright spots for the Liberals, with aggregate support changing very little since last week. The Liberals are still ahead with 72 seats to 40 seats for the Conservatives. Some have speculated that this continued support for the Liberals in Ontario is due to the unpopularity of Doug Ford. With that, let's look deeper into Toronto, where the Liberals have a chance to sweep all 25 ridings. They're currently projected to take 23 ridings, with the NDP and Conservatives getting 1 apiece. In Quebec, the Liberals are also leading by a fairly large margin in the popular vote, with close to 36%. The Bloc Québécois has pulled ahead of the Conservatives by close to 3%, putting them at 22% to 19% for the Conservatives. Interestingly, the Bloc Québécois has been on an upward trajectory for most of the year, while the NDP and Liberals trend downward. Looking just outside Montreal and Laval, there are many very close races, but the Liberals currently lead in 14 ridings, with the Bloc Québécois leading in 8. I'm seeing the Liberals gain a little bit in British Columbia, where they're now trailing the Conservatives by 3% versus 5% last week. The Conservatives are now sitting on a 5-seat lead over the Liberals. British Columbia continues to be one of the most interesting provinces in this election. Half of the ridings could go in any number of directions. Looking more closely to Vancouver again this week, the Liberals are now leading in 11 of 22 ridings, with the Conservatives leading in 6 and the NDP in 1. Jody Wilson-Raybould is still ahead in her riding of Vancouver-Granville. In Alberta and the Prairies, the Conservatives are very solidly ahead in almost every riding. In Alberta, the Conservatives are expected to take every riding except for Edmonton-Strathcona, which is currently led by the incumbent NDP. The current MP for that riding, Linda Duncan, will not seek re-election, so this could tip the scales in the Conservatives' favour. I see a similar situation in the Prairies, where the Conservatives are projected to take all but 4 ridings. One riding to watch is Charleswood, St. James, Assiniboia, Headingley, where a recent riding poll showed moderate support for People's Party candidate Stephen Fletcher, which was used as justification to allow Maxime Bernier into the debates. Looking east to Atlantic Canada, the Liberals have lost about 5% in support over the last 2 weeks. Support appears to be shifting toward the NDP and Green Party. That said, the Liberals are still far ahead of the Conservatives, who sit back by 13% in support. As support tightens, I see an increase in ridings that become competitive across multiple parties in Atlantic Canada. In particular, Fredericton has a 3-way race between the Liberals, Conservatives, and Greens. If support for the Greens continues, they could pick up 1 seat in Atlantic Canada. That sums up week 3 in the election. For more information, you could find me on Twitter @CalculatedPolly or through my website, calculatedpolitics.com. Thanks for watching.